Hello, everyone, and welcome to You've Retired, Now What? I'm here to help you navigate through these waters of deciding what's the rest of my life going to look like? What's my next phase going to look like? What have I not done that I wanted to do? I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and each week on this podcast, I give you tips and tricks, processes, and methodologies that can help you through your thought process. So we got a whole lot to talk about. Let's dive in. So I have a couple questions for you. Do you know that your thoughts and your mindset is what you actually become? Even though you've retired and you're thinking about, I worked all these years and I struggled a little bit, but I finally made it. And then we find out that, did you know that over 33% of the people that have retired have are struggling with themselves? And do you know why that is? They're struggling with themselves because they had a sense of identity. They're asking themselves the question, what's my purpose now? And they're trying to find out, what's this next phase of my life? What's it all about? This is You've Retired, Now What? Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and my mission is to help those individuals that have retired or thinking of retiring make the best of the next phase of their life. Just because you've retired doesn't mean life quits. And I want you to start to think about reframing your thoughts about retirement. You've learned in the past, especially from some of these podcasts, that we think the way our parents and our grandparents retired. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Things have changed. We're living longer. We're taking better care of ourselves. And chances are we're going to have a long life. Doctors and social scientists have predicted that if we have retired at 65, the chances of us living to 80 and even into our 90s are great. You know, years ago, people only lived into their 40s and 50s, and they planned for retirement, say, past 65, or right at 65. Well, now it's changed, and you need to reset your mindset on exactly how you think about that. You know, our thoughts kind of dictate to us what we're going to do. And what I mean by that, you are what you think. If you think that you're finished, you're going to be finished. But if you think you got more to do, then you need to go for that and decide what that is. Identify any negative situations you have in your life right now. Identify those situations and think about how you think about those. Think about, there's not a whole lot I can do now. And I call bull on that. You can do whatever it is you want to do. Decide what you would like to do now that you've retired. You don't have to still label yourself what you did when you were working. You might have been an engineer. You might have been a professional salesperson, a stockbroker, a hairdresser, whatever. That doesn't mean that's what you got to do when you retire. We have a tendency in this culture of ours to put labels on everybody and everything. I'd like you to embrace your current situation. Embrace it to the point that you say, okay, here's where I am now. What can I do? And what is it I would like to do? And if there's something you've always wanted to have in the back of your mind, or you had in the back of your mind, and you wanted to do something different, well, why can't you do that? I mean, you raised families, you had significant others, and now it's your time. Decide what you want to do and start to understand that, why can't I try something new? You can do something as simple as audit a class at a community college or even a four-year college. Some of them will let you do that. And what are you doing when you do that? You're just building on your knowledge. You're keeping your mind sharp. And, when you do these things, something might trigger in your mind that you never even thought that was possible. I can recall from way back when I first started out as a young man, I got exposed to different careers that I knew nothing about. And next thing I know, I had an interest. And you can do the same thing. You don't have to continue to have a career, but you do need to have goals, and you do need to fill that void when you're feeling that sense of who am I, what is it I want, and how am I going to go about doing it. And if you answer those three questions, who am I, what do I want, and how am I going to do it, then you can start to dissect that and have what we call, we regenerate how we think about things. We go from the farthest point out, and then we come all the way back in, and we do it a step at a time. I've always been a great component, or I've been a great cheerleader for what I call creep, crawl, walk, run. And that's basically kind of the way a young baby develops. You kind of try walking, or crawling, then you try to walk, and then you're off and running. And when you're sitting there beating yourself up that, well, I really don't have a sense of purpose right now, and I don't really know what I want to do, I'd like to implore you to have a growth mindset. And there's two kinds of people that operate in this world: a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Fixed mindset is, this is all I can do, it's the way I've always been, and nothing's going to change. And here we have these other folks, they've got a growth mindset. I can do anything I want. I can experiment with new things. I don't have to constantly do what I used to do. And in fact, I'm actually bored with what I used to do. So when you're starting to discover that growth mindset, that opens you up to new possibilities. Okay? The other thing you need to do to help you if you feel you're in a funk now that you've retired, you need to develop a routine. And a routine is, remember when you went to work and you knew exactly what time you had to be there, you knew what was expected of you, etc., etc. Well, it's not the same now, but perhaps you can have a routine. I'm going to do this and this between 7 and 8 o'clock. I'm going to go to the gym or take a walk, do a run, go to yoga between 9 and 10. And then I'm going to have, for example, I'm going to have my reading time so I can catch up and stay fresh on what's going on with the world. And other things that you can do is, if you plan ahead, you're going to fall into a real good routine. And that planning ahead is, what haven't you accomplished that you'd like to accomplish? Are you at the point in your life you'd like to leave a legacy? And, the great news is that I don't care how old you are, how young you are, you can always change in life. You don't have to be the same person you always were. You need to stretch yourself. You need to think that, you know what, I always wanted to write a book. Do you think I could do that? Absolutely, you can write a book. And you need to embrace that and chip away at it. If you need help, reach out. And you can either, there's a lot of groups you could go to that would embrace helping you write your book. You need to cultivate a growth mindset, because when you have a growth mindset, you're going to be, thinking all the time. And that's not only good for your cognitive memory, that's good for your emotional well-being as well. So it's something you might look into and try harder and harder. You need to seek support. You had all these friends when you worked and you had acquaintances, and you might not have thought a lot about it, but these were people you interacted with every day, and now you're not doing it. Well, one of the great things about the internet, there's groups that are free that you can get online. I can't tell you how many people that I have met in the past 5 to 6 years online that have become really good friends, and they're mentors, and we bounce ideas and thoughts off of each other, and that's a good thing. You might even want to, you might belong to a church or a religious group, and you might find that another way to keep yourself engaged. What you're trying to do once you retire is just not sit there. And if you sit there, I am a firm believer, you're going to make it to your grave earlier than you need to. You need to exercise, you need to eat right, you need to do different things so that you're always active. You don't want to be that person that all of a sudden starts to get all kinds of illnesses, etc. You need to visit your doctor on a regular basis, because your life is worth that. Okay, if you can take your hand and put it over your heart and you feel it beating, you have a sense of purpose. You have a reason to get up and out of that bed each and every day. I'd like you to also adopt a learning mindset, because if you just say, well, I've learned about everything I can, nothing's going to change. And change takes work. If that's what you want to do, change takes work. When I worked with major corporations, I helped them with their learning and their interactive solutions for reaching their people, their distributors, etc. One of the toughest things I had ever had to teach was change management. People don't want to change. They get comfortable in what they're doing, and they simply do not want to change. You need to reach out, as I said earlier. You need to surround yourself with new people and new experiences, because that's going to keep you young. That's going to keep you with an energetic mindset. And if you're taking care of your health, you're sleeping right, you're eating right, and you're also have a growth mindset, you're going to be a dynamic individual. And I know a lot of folks, they're not very demonstrative and they want to kind of keep to themselves, etc. But even if you want to do that, you got to be active in your mind, because you lose your mind, other things start to go. And there's no reason you need to, because there's so many tools that we can use right now, things that we can use online. And if that's not your forte, then we always have that great institution called a library, and you can read books on different subjects, etc. So why do you want to keep an active mindset? Well, you want to keep an active mindset because this is exactly what's going to keep you motivated, give you the energy you need each and every day to pop out of that bed and say, today's going to be the best day I've ever had, or today I'm going to accomplish this, and this. And it starts to give you a sense of purpose. One of the greatest things about your being retired right now, or your current age, if you will, is that you can do what you want and you can experiment over and over again. You're not on a set schedule unless you put it, you impose it on yourself, but it gives you the opportunity to kind of work in an iterative fashion. That is, try a little bit. If it doesn't work, let's throw that part away. Let's try again. That doesn't work. Let's try something else. Hey guys, real quick, if you've been struggling to answer the question, now what, after you've retired, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to my free Now What challenge that can help you reignite your spark, give yourself a sense of direction, try to decide exactly what it is you want to do in this next phase of your life. People are very smart and they get worn out. I know that. But eventually they know they got to do something more. And you need a purpose to get up and out of that bed each and every morning. I have tools, processes, and methodologies that I'm going to share with you in this challenge that I believe will help you clear your mind and decide exactly what you're going to do in this next phase of your life. There's no time limit on you trying to find yourself, your sense of self, your purpose, and your motivating factor that always makes you feel alive. And I got to share with you, once you start to feel alive on a day-to-day basis, then you're motivated and you're still excited. And you're the kind of person that people want to be around. That because you always have new ideas, you share ideas, and you let people know that you care about them. And there was an old saying, and I believe it a lot. People don't care what you say until they know how much you care. And that's true. What people they want you to make them feel good. And that's pretty easy to do. And I understand that you might have fears. You might have fears that, I don't know if I can do it. So let's break those down. Let's break those fears down so that, especially here on this podcast, and we can share ideas. If there's something I don't cover, I don't know everything in the world, be the first to admit it. But I'll tell you what, I'm real good at finding answers. I'm real good at asking other guests what they think about certain subjects. And all that helps you. I told you in my, probably one of my earlier podcasts, my mission is to help those that have retired to have the best life that they have. And I kind of came across this when I watched a lot of my colleagues and friends, even family members, they were stuck in their minds. They were stuck in their minds that they knew they needed to do something in retirement, but now they don't know exactly what that is. And I'm going to tell you in a few moments here about a special challenge that is free to you that I'm holding that can help you work through some of that mindset, help you work through and give you a blueprint on what's next. And do I have all the answers? No. But what we could do is we can do it together. Okay? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? Do an assessment, if you will, on what you've done and what you like, what you don't like. I can guarantee you, if your interests don't match your values, you're not going to do that very long, because it's important to you. And if you're going to put time, effort, and hours into trying to find a new path, it better count, and it better meet your values. It better meet your needs. Otherwise, you're going to throw it by the wayside. You're going to be on to the next thing. I want you to visualize your ideal future. Are you where you wanted to be now that you've retired? Athletes do this all the time. They visualize how they're going to run a race, how they're going to catch a football, how they're going to hit a home run. You can do the same thing. And if you visualize it over and over again, your visions can turn into reality. Remember, I said we're the sum of our thoughts, and that's kind of how we operate. Never forget that, because it's very, very true. I watch people, they're very self-destructive for no other reasons. They think negatively, well, I can't do this, and this is not going to work for me, etc., etc. I know people think that way. I've always been a very positive person. I've always, throughout my life, I've been told what I cannot do. You tell me what I cannot do, and I'm going to show you a way I'm going to do it. And you can do the same thing. I want you to be flexible. I want you to embrace flexibility. Everything might not fit in your little world in your mind. But if you open yourself up to different thoughts and different approaches to life, you'll really surprise yourself at what you can accomplish. Start setting small little goals. You don't have to say, well, I'm going to save the world tomorrow. You can do something small like, look, I want to lose 20 pounds in 2 months. That's a goal. And if you track it and say, I've lost this much this week, this much this week, here's how I've exercised, here's how I've eaten, you can reach that goal. I want you to turn reflection into insight. Insight to what you might be able to accomplish once you start to have a plan and you start working it on and on. I'm a strong believer in lifelong learning. I'm an educator by profession, and I continue to learn. I know more trivia probably than the average person because I find it very interesting. I find history and facts very interesting. Always want to know how people used to live versus how we're living today. And I want to tell you, there has been a seismic shift on how we approach retirement now. It used to be set it and forget it. That's not the way anymore. And you're going to live such a fulfilling life if you continue to take one step at a time. You need to allow yourself time. You don't say, well, I got to know what I'm going to do in the next 3 months. Look, you got time. If it takes 6 months, if it takes a year to get to where you need to be, that's not wasted time. You're working towards your happiness and what's going to make you feel good and what you want to accomplish in the short term and in the long term. And your goals don't have to be lofty, but I will guarantee you there's something nagging inside of you that says, you know, I always wanted to do this, but I never did it. You got time to do that right now. Why not try it? One of the other factors that can help you is you always need to be in the present and you need to be authentic. If you're going to ask other people to help, you need to be very authentic. You got to be you, a genuine you. You know, on YouTube, you know what people enjoy most? They enjoy stories. They want to find out, they love to hear what makes you tick. And I think you will become a very interesting person if you could share some of those ideas. Look, all those years you worked in a full-time job, you got stories. You got tons of stories. And so incorporate those in your origin story. And that's different than your biography. Your origin story is what you're all about. And why do you need to do that? You're interesting conversation. You engage with new people. You can let people know when they say, so what do you do or what are you all about? Isn't that a funny thing? They all in life, everybody always asks what you do. You know, they don't ask what kind of person you are. This is your time to kind of build what kind of person you are and tell them, here's where I've been, here's what I've done, and here's what I want to do now. That makes you very, very interesting. You know, social gatherings can help. You could host some social gatherings just to interact with people. Your work buddies are gone now, and I'm sure you still have contact with them, but they're still working a full-time job. You're retired, and that's a great void. This is why people get very lonely in retirement. They get lonely because they don't have human interaction. We were made to interact with one another, not just to sit and isolate. I want to suggest that people get lonely because they quit trying. They quit trying. They don't reach out. they say, well, I'm older now. And again, my favorite line, I call bull on that. Just because you might be in your 70s, even your 80s, you're not dead. So you need people to keep your life fulfilled and give energy to not only your life, but to all those around you. You need to set new goals, okay? And if you've tried something and it hasn't worked, try another one. The other thing's going to keep you, and I mentioned it earlier, you need to prioritize your health and your wellness. That doctors, we got all kinds of new medical procedures right now, and they're prolonging people's lives. And you can contribute to prolong your life if you work at it and make your health and your mental health a priority. You can do things like volunteer, contribute to your community. These are all things that you can do that will keep you alive, and nothing helps any more than making somebody else feel better about themselves. You worked for years. Why can't you volunteer? Why can't you be a mentor to a young person? It's kind of like giving back. And that will fill your days if you do that, and if that's the route you decide to choose. So trying to find what you want to do and what fulfills you after retirement, it's a priority, I believe. It's a priority with you. Now, if you're stuck in your own mind on where do I go next, I like to suggest to you a challenge that I'm going to hold here in September. It's called the Now What Challenge. And in that challenge, which is 100% free to you, we're going to discover what is your why do you want to do it, and how are you going to get there. I have tools, processes, and methodologies that I've used in major organizations around the world. And those same tools and processes I can use to help you. My mission is to help people that have retired to live the best possible life they want to. So if you're interested, please let me know on this podcast. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. My name is Michael Kiffmeyer, and my email address is mfkiffy1@gmail.com. I thank you for listening, and I would ask you, if you have friends, relatives, or colleagues that could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. And one last thing I would ask, tell them about the challenge. I'm going to have it posted here pretty soon. Tell them about the challenge that I'm running, because it might help them. And once we start to feed off of each other, that's a community. And people are walking, the face of this earth with some of the same challenges in retirement that you are. I appreciate you for listening. I hope I helped some people today. And please ask me any questions you have, or any topics that I don't cover. We'll find a way to answer all your questions. I thank you very much, and have a pleasant day. Goodbye. Hey, before we conclude this episode, I'd like each and every one of you to know that your thoughts, your dreams, and what you would like to get out of this podcast is valuable to me. My whole goal and my mission is to serve you like I have served others. For years I had taught major corporations how to use learning as a competitive advantage. I want to do the same for you. So please leave your notes or reach out to me, and I want to gear this podcast towards your wants and needs and help you as much as I can. Again, this is Michael Kiffmeyer, and you've listened to You've retired, now what? I want to thank each and every one of you for listening.